I'm going to call to order. I'm going to call to order the special joint regular meeting of the City Council, Successor Agency, Housing Authority for Tuesday, July 8th. And we're going to be going into closed session. You want to call roll?
Yes, please. Council Agency Authority Member Barrios, Council Agency Authority Member Taylor, Council Agency Authority Member Warren, Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chairman Torres, and Mayor Chairman Shaver.
Here.
Thank you.
What's up, Legal Beagle?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. There are two items on closed session. The first item is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, one case. The other item is public employee performance evaluation of the city attorney. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the City Council at this time on any items on the calendar for closed session?
Hearing none, seeing none, Mr. Mayor.
And nothing written, right?
No written, sir.
Okay, I'm going to adjourn to our closed session.
City Council is adjourning into closed session at 5:34 p.m. We thank you for your patience during the silence period. The council will reconvene at normal session at 6:30 p.m.
City Council, Successor Agency and Housing Authority joint regular meeting. Roll call, please.
Our Council Agency Authority Member Barrios, Council Agency Authority Member Taylor, Council Agency Authority Member Warren, Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chairman Torres, and Chairman Mayor Shaver.
Thank you. Would you report out of closed session?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. There's nothing to report.
If you please all join us in the pledge. Thomas, you're up.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is special presentations and awards. We're going to be giving a proclamation declaring the month of July as Parks and Recreation Month in the city of Stanton.
Let it be resolved that I, Donald Torres, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Stanton, and Mayor Shaver, Mayor of the City of Stanton, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby declare the month of July 2025 to be Parks and Recreation Month throughout the City of Stanton. And in doing so, encourage the citizens of this community to join with me in recognizing the importance of benefits derived from parks and recreation resources, access to local parks, open space, and facilities for the health, wellness, development, inspiration, and safety for all residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'd like to introduce a local business owner. We have the Sandoval family here that's going to receive the proclamation. I have Francisco and Pearl and their two children.
Hello? Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for having us. My name is Francisco Sandoval. This is my wife, Pearl, and our son, Blake, and our youngest, Tyler. We are small business owners in Stanton, California. We own a mechanic shop called F&P Auto. It stands for Francisco and Pearl. And we've definitely been working with the Parks and Recs for the past several years, taking part in Paint the Town event, the Santa Siren event. We watched the movies during the summertime. I think we actually helped with the project, the new projector bulb for the Parks and Recs during the movie night. And the kids love Stanton Central Park as well too.
Stanton truly has a very unique Parks and Rec. because we're business owners, we do associate with other cities, and we have association in other cities. And honestly, there's nothing like Stanton, like the kids' night out, the family night out. It's so family oriented, and it's so much fun. And we have friends in other cities, and they're like, "Oh, our city doesn't do that." I'm like, "Well, Stanton does." So we're always proud to say that we're business owners here in Stanton, and that we always try to give back where we can. We try to volunteer and help where we can, with the Santas and Siren, paint the town, and anything else that we can help with, we always try to help. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to give back to the community that's given so much to us and our kiddos. We really appreciate it.
I would just like to say that I've seen Francisco and his wife throughout, our community for many years. I met them at a great event, so it's wonderful to see them here today. And also they, work on my car, so it's really cool. They serve our community in many different ways. So thank you for helping us get the projector light bulb for the movies in the park. What was that, last year? Wonderful.
Yes, it was last year.
Francisco and Pearl, your name is well known because of the many different volunteer work that you've done in our community over the years. So I can't think of anyone else that we're glad to honor for a recipient of this certificate on behalf of our Parks Department. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you all come up and you get a city pen, all four of you, and we're going to get a Kodak moment picture for you. How's that sound? Right,
Thank you.
The Sandoval family and all our volunteers one big last round of applause. Thank you. Now we have Eric from Townsend Public Affairs who's going to give us our federal legislative update.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of Council. Eric O'Donnell with Townsend Public Affairs. Very excited to be here tonight to give you a state and federal update. There's been a lot going on, especially in DC, and we're going to get down into maybe a little bit more detail than we're used to. Just want to make sure that we're really understanding the policy issues that are coming out of DC right now and elsewhere. But as always, we're going to start with the state. So I like to start with calendars as always, but June 15th was our state budget deadline. We did in fact pass a budget June 15th. It is a budget framework. It was not the final budget. It was very much a shell of a budget just to satisfy the constitutional requirement. And then they continued working on it for a couple weeks to conclusion before the 4th of July holiday. We are in the middle of policy committee deadlines in the second house right now. So what that means is that all assembly bills are in the Senate, and those bills, for example, would need to pass their policy committees by the end of next week in order to be eligible to continue on through the process. This can get pretty challenging right now. There's only a couple, if you think about it, after the 4th of July weekend, that leaves only 2 weeks for these bills to be heard in policy committee. Most policy committees only meet once a week. So it really gets pretty tight when the deadline, especially if the bills are double or triple referred, which means they have to go to 2 or 3 different policy committees. You get a lot of jockeying between committee staff and members about when a bill gets heard and has to go through the proper steps. So you will see some bills die just based on, frankly, a lack of organization of when it gets heard and scheduling and stuff like that. After July 18th, they will start their summer recess, as always, so they'll come back on August 18th, so about a month. They'll be gone. Most of them will be in the district, or if they're taking trips with families, that's the time they usually do it. After they come back, it'll be a very quick, deadline, 2 more weeks for the fiscal committee deadline. So same thing we just talked about policy-wise on the money committees. And then once that committee is passed, you have about 2 weeks on the floor, and then we're done September 12th. So we're getting to the end here. The governor, as always, has a month after we end to decide if he's going to sign or veto any of the legislation. And then we start all over again next year for a 2-year session. So any bill that dies this year, just a reminder, is not actually dead. It's what we refer to as a 2-year bill, and will be eligible to be heard again next year. Wrapping up the state budget that I talked about. So we finished off the numbers after the May revise and everything else came in with about a $16 billion shortfall. That's the number that people have been saying. This is, a big number to be short, but if you remember, we started a couple years ago, 100 million down, then we were 32 billion down, now we're 16 billion down, so theoretically we're trending in the right direction, right? We're just still kind of in the negative. The reason that's going to be negative for a while, I think, and frankly going to be uncertain, is all of this uncertainty coming out of DC and the costs of what's of the state, how that cost is going to be borne, especially on the Medicare SNAP provisions that we'll talk about in detail. But the state has proposed to cut about $3.5 billion just straight off the top, $7.8 billion in revenue generation and borrowing. The revenue generation side is, we collected some good tax receipts, more than we thought we were going to, about in $7.8 billion. Still doesn't make up for that 16, but it was a good, good last couple months. And then $1 billion in savings through shifts and deferrals. And, we have a lot of money in savings in California for the last couple of years that we've drawn down for this as well. But really want to go into the meat of this budget trailer bill on housing. And so I want to talk about this because this was probably the main topic for the last week in the session in Sacramento before the 4th of July holiday. So I want to start by what is a budget trailer bill. It's kind of what it implies. It's basically a budget bill that comes after the main budget bill. So the June 15th budget bill that happened, like I told you, was a framework. Anything that adjusts the budget after that is referred to as a budget trailer bill, comes after. The legislature has been in a bad habit lately of putting policy language into budget trailer bills. They're supposed to be budget related, money related, but it is a very contentious way to do policy where it doesn't get the light of day, doesn't get a whole lot of transparency through committee process, through constituent engagement, everything like that. So it is a sneaky way to hide a lot of some bad legislation sometimes to go through this process, because you have to pass the budget, right? You have to pass budget-related things. There's a lot of things in there that have to get passed. So one of the tactics they did, and I'll go over these 3 kind of most relevant, but the governor and administration tied the passage of this bill I'm about to talk about to the actual budget. So unless this bill passed, the actual budget itself did not pass. So they were linked together, and which made it very difficult for legislators to negotiate and to vote on a package like this. So 3 main things that this bill did that are relevant for the city. Huge CEQA exemption bill, notably biggest CEQA exemption in California history since we've passed CEQA in the 70s. So really what it did was it exempted CEQA from wildfire and field modification projects for the most part. which is largely a good thing to try to get those projects done. So we're protecting ourselves. Healthcare centers, any parks that are funded through the new climate bond don't have to go through CEQA anymore. Food banks, daycare centers, broadband projects, advanced manufacturing plants. All of those are CEQA exempt now. And the big ticket is infill housing. So that was the huge change. Is infill housing is now exempt from CEQA. The governor thinks that CEQA is being used as a tool to prevent housing, especially on the infill side, and he has supported removing it, and that has passed. So that is a huge change right now. Infill housing is defined pretty loosely, but it's 20 acres or less, which is 20 acres is pretty big as we think about it. So anything over 20 acres would not be able to be exempt, but 20 and under, pretty much fully exempt. $500 million is included for the next round of homeless housing assistance and prevention dollars. If you don't know what that is, I'm not surprised, because all of that money goes directly to the big 13 cities, the counties, and the continuums of care. So those are the three places that money goes. If it comes down to the city level, it's only if one of those three entities gives it to you for any sort of reason. So there's no direct allocation to Stanton. However, the County of Orange gets a big chunk of that. Santa Ana, Anaheim, Irvine, and the Orange County Continuum of Care all get some of that money. That number is usually $1 billion, but it got cut in half this year based on our budget woes. So it is something that's still not structural, so it's negotiated every year. So the Big 13 coalition and everyone else were hoping for $1 billion, but they got $500 million. And then a 6-year moratorium on new residential building standards. That's a big change as well. So building standards change every year in California with new legislation, new codes, et cetera. 6-year moratorium on that. The reason for that is leadership views that as a solution to bring down the cost of housing relatively temporarily, especially as it relates to the LA wildfire rebuild. That was the vision. They tried to get some regional specific, like, okay, if it's LA wildfire, make it LA specific. They said, no, we're going statewide on this. So it is a 6-year moratorium. A lot of cities are groaning about that. It is a big change, but it is going to be the new normal for at least the foreseeable future. One other requirement I'll mention that I didn't put on here is that there's also a requirement in the bill that requires cities that have navigation shelters in their city to inspect that shelter annually, even if they don't own it. And so there was a problem you might have heard about in the Bay Area, I believe, where there were some unsafe conditions in a navigation center for quite some time, and the city didn't know because it wasn't theirs, it was the county's. The county didn't know, and so we're changing that to make sure that the cities are, it's kind of a mandate, but maybe a good mandate that you're required to inspect it for safe conditions, even if it's not yours. So I know you don't have a navigation center in your city, you share it, but Placentia, Buena Park, those guys will have to do it. Moving on to some individual bills, you've seen all of these before, but just giving you a quick status update. SB 79, biggest one in the city game this year when it comes to Sacramento pushes and League of California Cities efforts. This is a massive upzoning around high-quality transit, mostly think of light rail or BART or Metrolink stations, et cetera. So it is definitely an impactful bill. However, I want to be clear, it does not affect the city of Stanton as currently written because you don't have any of those stops to go around it. So it's half-mile radius around those big metro stops. It does not include any bus stops in the city because we don't meet the threshold for rapid bus transit. I think it's like 15-minute headways in the morning, which is pretty quick, and that's not something that we have here. So I just wanted to be clear about that. In fact, fun fact, there's only 11 places in Orange County this qualifies right now, and it's basically all the Metrolink stations that we have and the Amtrak stations. However, once the Santa Ana streetcar is operational, every single one of those stations will qualify for this. So think of a half-mile radius around each one of those stations will be a huge upzone by right. AB 650 we've supported and we've talked about in the past. This is the arena process improvement. It's a good bill trying to make sure that HCD is being accountable for their back and forth with the city when it comes to housing elements and giving you exactly what you need the first time and maybe hopefully the last time. So there's no more back and forth delays that we can blame on HCD. So it is definitely a aggressive, ambitious bill, but it's moving right along. It's in the Senate Appropriations Committee already. There is a huge cost to it because it would require a lot on HCD and especially on the staffing side. So it is on the, I don't want to say on the chopping block, but it'll have a tough go because of how much it'll cost the state to implement. But it is good policy that all cities should be supporting. And then AB 379 by Krell, this is our loitering sex trafficking bill we've been talking about from the John side on intent to purchase. No update other than it's already moved down to the Senate floor, so it's in a good place. It probably will have some fireworks in the last couple of weeks, I think, holding over from the fireworks it had a couple months ago about the 16-year-old kind of threshold that was kind of awkward in there from the author and leadership. So I have strong hopes that the current language as is, at least on the screen, will move forward. There might be other things added or subtracted, but it's as good as it can be right now. And then I'm going to switch over to DC and spend, yes, sir.
Okay, so, but we're looking at another year before we revisit it, right?
So this is still alive, but just to be clear, this is on the a misdemeanor to loiter with the intent to purchase, not to commit prostitution. So it's the,
Another year, right?
to be implemented? Yeah, so January 1 next year is when it would go into effect. Yeah, good clarification. Okay, switching to DC. Pretty much everything that's been going on is this One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That is not something I call it. That's literally the name of the bill on the paper. That was President Trump's hope when he got elected into office, is that he's going to do most of his domestic policy that he campaigned on in one fell swoop in one bill, and he was largely successful at that. So I want to go through a couple things about why this was so contentious in DC and make sure I relate it as much as possible back to the city. I will say the big kind of caveat here is that most of what's in this bill does not affect cities or local governments. It's really on the individual side, right, of what it affects. Huge impacts to county budgets, actually, when it comes to this healthcare stuff. But when it comes to cities, it's really the individuals of the city who might be impacted of this, not necessarily the city in your budget. However, the potential to California impact to California slide, or on the column, I should say, when that starts creeping up, the state has to figure out where to come for that. And that's where the cities might actually have to get involved, or they start taking away from you guys, right? So it's not directly impacting, but it's going to put pressure on California to the point where they're going to have to look somewhere for funding. So starting from the top, SNAP, CalFresh, that's basically our food stamp program. That's what we call it here. The administrative cost share was 50% federal government, 35% state, 15% counties. It is a very hard program to administer, those food stamps, as you can imagine, with all the accounting and the back end, and it is 50% was what the feds were covering on the administrative costs. They reduced that to 25%. They did not say how much the state's going to cover or the county. They left it up and said, you guys figure it out, but we're only paying 25. So that means the state and the county is going to pay a lot higher share on that administrative cost. So that's going to be a lot of money. Additionally, the benefit cost share arrangement, up to 15% starting in fiscal year 28. So what that means is there's always a payment error rate when it comes to benefits for food stamps. There's always some sort of miscalculation or oops, we gave someone money we shouldn't have on that. If that starts creeping up, there's a threshold scale where the more you're messing up on giving that money, the more you have to pay instead of the feds. So it's kind of DC's way of saying like, hey, you better administer this appropriately, or it's going to keep costing you more if you're doing it inappropriately. You might think, how could you give money to someone who doesn't need it? It's pretty hard to administer. Think about, hey, maybe you're applying as a family of 4, but you're actually a family of 5, or you're applying as a family of 6, but you're actually a family of 3. It's very hard to I guess, qualify that if you're on the back end, or if your income level doesn't exceeds what the minimum threshold is. So maybe you start making more money than you did when you were on food stamps, but you keep getting the food stamp stipend, right? But you don't need it anymore, right? Because you're not in that poverty level. That's an error rate. So if that keeps creeping up, you're going to start paying more. So all that California expects is about $1.8 billion, probably on the low side of what it's going to cost them. Switching over to Medi-Cal, Medicaid, this is the big one, getting into the weeds, but safe harbor limit on Medicaid provider taxes reduced from 6% to 3.5%. Basically what's happening is if a procedure costs $100 on Medicaid, Medicaid would bill the provider $106. then they would refund them back $6 to equal the cost of the whatever, but California collected that extra $6 and then gets to draw down additional matching funds from DC based on how much they collected over that. So it's a long-winded way of saying it was referred to as an infinite money glitch, where if you just build more and then returned a little bit of it, DC will keep sending you money based on what you build. So California figured that out and has been doing the 6%. That's changed down now to 3.5%. So we used that extra 6% that we profited, if you want to call it that, on additional services in the Medicaid programs in California. Well, we want to keep those services. So now if we're going down to 3.5%, we got to make up that 2.5% difference. It's probably going to be about $25 billion for California to cover that. That's, again, could be conservative depending on how you look at it, because the next level is something that we're probably not going to budge on with this FMAP expansion. And basically what all that means, it's complicated, but all it means is it determines the federal cost share of Medicaid costs. That is being reduced by 10% if you are a state that offers health care to illegal undocumented immigrants. California is one of those states. California is not going to change being one of those states. So right there, we're getting 10% less in how much of those costs we have been getting from the feds. That can add up pretty quick. So I know that's very, very complicated, but I just wanted to make sure that we understood kind of that's the level of detail they're getting into in DC and how it's going to affect County of Orange, how it's going to affect the state budget, and then potentially eventually affect the city. There are some policy changes as well in terms of both programs have additional work requirements now in order to receive those benefits, but they notably excluded key classes of individuals who used to be excluded. Veterans, homeless, and foster youth did not have to work in order to get these benefits, but now they do under these new provisions in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And then the state and local tax deduction, California and New York have been pretty heavy on this because generally incomes are higher in those two states, but there was a $10,000 limit on how much you can deduct from your federal taxes for how much you're paying for your state taxes. That limit was increased to $40,000, which is good news for big filers here in California and DC, but it does expire in 2030. So it is a temporary 5-year relief, but it is going to go right back down to that $10,000 in 2030. And then the only other thing I'll mention is that low-income housing tax credits actually got a pretty good bump from this. So the 9% credits category, which we fund a lot of affordable housing here in California, got a 12% increase, which is great. And then the 4% category got their tax-exempt bond requirement dropped from 50% to 25%. So what that means is that only 25% of a project, affordable housing project, needs to be financed by tax-exempt bonds in order to receive that 4% credit now. Before it was 50%. So that's going to unlock a lot more opportunity for affordable housing construction here in California. Yes, sir. I'm sorry? I don't. That was just an extra kind of bullet here. Any questions on that before I move on to our last slide here? I just want to make sure. Okay. And then community project funding. This is our federal earmarks that we've been working on. So just a good update here. Congressman Correa has included our community center, senior center enhancement project in his list of 15. I believe I might have told you that last meeting. I can't remember, but that's in his list, which is great. That's exactly where we need to be for $1 million. July 14th is so next week is the subcommittee hearing for that bill, where we will find out, that markup I should say, that's where we will find out how much of that $1 million made it into the final table. So we fully expect, I'll call it a haircut going into it. Everyone's projects get reduced by a certain amount of money, but we're hopeful that we get as much of that $1 million as possible going into next week. Similarly, this is kind of hot off the press, but Senator Padilla's office chose our Stanton security camera project as one of his projects. So for $1 million, so less than the 1.5 than we asked for, but still a good news. Big caveat and kind of reminder for those that have been here before, the Senate process is very different than the House, less likely to get money out of the Senate than the House. Either way, still super supportive and thankful of Senator Padilla for including us in his list. And that markup is actually July 10th. So that is this week. So we'll find as soon as Thursday whether or not we're included in that bill at all, and if we are, how much. So good news on this front. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Eric, thank you for that.
Thank you.
From the like to comment on this particular item, on this presentation? Okay. We'll move on to the item C. This is an update on the city's outreach program.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the Council. As the Council is aware, for years the City has been working on addressing issues related to homelessness. Most of this effort happens on a daily basis out of view of our residents and businesses. To ensure more transparency into our efforts and to better inform the community regarding the resources the Council has directed to address these issues, I will be providing a monthly report on homeless outreach and other activities. For those interested in reviewing past reports, you can find those beginning in 2021 on the city's website at www.stantonca.gov under the Public Safety Department. The reports represent a very high-level summary of the efforts of employees who are dedicated in some manner to addressing homelessness-related issues. Tonight's report is for June 2025. Working as a team for the month of June, the City engaged in 136 proactive total client encounters, with 25 of those being new client engagements. The team received 162 contacts from homeless individuals, advocates, service providers, and the Orange County Sheriff's Department for service assistance, coordination, and navigation. When contacted, the team provides the following services: assesses the needs of the individual experiencing homelessness, offering shelter and connectivity to appropriate resources, offers storage at the city's yard to individuals who seek shelter but cannot take their articles with them, cleans up the debris and trash left behind and provides sanitation and public property repairs, and provides residents and businesses with the outreach coordinator's direct contact information for further assistance or concerns. For the month of June, 129 offers of shelter were declined. Staff received 7 requests for shelter, but shelter beds were unavailable at the time. 2 individuals were connected with interim housing opportunities, 3 with mental health services, and 5 with benefits assistance. The highest priority areas in the city for June, based on calls and field observations, were Beach Boulevard and Chapman, Stanton Park, Cerritos and Western, and Tena Pacific. This month's real-life stories are all exciting wins for our staff in working with individuals experiencing homelessness. So the first story is regarding a woman from Las Vegas who traveled to Orange County for personal reasons and ultimately ended up homeless in Stanton. After verifying her identity, outreach coordinators helped create a successful path to gaining shelter and exiting the street. After collaborating with Orange County Outreach and Engagement, a bed at Bridges at Kramer Place in Anaheim was secured utilizing county resources. She was transported and has remained in shelter engaged with outreach coordinators for continued support. For the second story, in collaboration with the County Outreach and Engagement team, Stanton Outreach coordinators have been working to support a homeless individual following the recent death of her parents. As a result of these unforeseen circumstances, the individual was actually identified as one of 4 beneficiaries to her parents' estate. Through coordinated efforts, outreach coordinators successfully established contact and provided the individual with information on how to claim her inheritance. She is currently in that process, which could provide the financial resources to secure and maintain stable housing for her and provide an exit to homelessness. And the final story is regarding our outreach coordinators who have been engaged and committed to helping a longtime member of the local homeless community secure permanent supportive housing. Outreach coordinators have been working collaboratively with local agencies to help this individual overcome roadblocks preventing placement and housing opportunities previously. We are happy to report that on June 18th, he was able to move into one of our own Project Home Keys, Aurora Vista. He will be assigned a case manager to assist him with any resources and continued support. While the city has allocated significant resources to outreach and has worked diligently to connect individuals to appropriate resources, the city does not tolerate antisocial or illegal behavior regardless of the perpetrator. As such, the city, through its code enforcement, public works, and Orange County Sheriff's Department contract, continues to enforce all violations of the city's municipal code and state law to the full extent of the law. That concludes my report for this evening, and staff is available to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Hannah. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address item 8C? Okay. I will move on to 9. This is a consent calendar. we can take all of the items 9A through 9M. Is there a motion for recommended action? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Anybody abstain? 10A, public hearing. Public hearing relative to placing the annual sewer service charge for sewers rates and property tax roll for year 2025 to 2026. At this time, I will open the public hearing, and we have a report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will hand that over to Ms. Del Rosario. And if you can please unmute your mic for me, please just pull it closer to you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. On June 10th, 2025, the City held a noticed public hearing in compliance with Proposition 218 and adopted the annual sewer service charges for fiscal years 25-26 through 29-30 with ordinance number 1068. This was based on the comprehensive sewer utility rate study report that was approved by Council on March 25th, 2025. These new rates are effective July 1st, 2025. The purpose of this noticed public hearing is to confirm the annual sewer service charge report prepared by the city's consultant, Harris and Associates, and to seek council approval to request the Orange County Auditor, Controller, to place the annual service charges that are attached to tonight's staff report on the property tax roll for fiscal year 2025-26. Staff is seeking the recommended actions: conduct the public hearing concerning the placement of the annual sewer service charge on the property tax roll for fiscal year 25-26, and adopt resolution number 2025-25, directing the Orange County Auditor Controller to place the annual sewer service charge on the property tax roll for fiscal year 25-26. We also have a representative from Harrison Associates joining us via Zoom to assist with any questions you may have, and that concludes my report.
Any questions? Okay, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to address this item 10A? Okay, Mr. Perez, why don't you come up at this point and introduce yourself to the council, because you're our new rep for the gas company.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, happy to be here, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council and staff. My name is Blake Perez. I'm the new Public Affairs Manager with SoCal Gas, here to be a bridge between the community and the company. So I'm very happy to be covering Stanton among other West Orange County cities. I know I've met with some of you individually already, but I look forward to meeting with more of you as time goes on and being present at future community events and just being available to the community should they need assistance navigating SoCal Gas needs or anything like that. I do want to just kind of also give kind of kudos to the city. There was a great State of the City event just a couple weeks ago. Really great way of connecting with the community and being present in the community. So I really appreciated that change of pace for State of the Cities. And I just want to close with a safety note. Please dial 811 before you dig. Last year, 60% of our excavation damage came from people who did not dial 811 or contact dig alert before digging, and that can cause serious damage and it poses a significant safety risk in addition to just being a very costly accident. So please dial 811 dig alert, and I look forward to meeting more of you as time goes on. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Come on, get your stamp pin from me. There we go. Come get your stamp.
Guys, if you want to come up, they're going to present you with the Stanton pin.
Welcome to Stanton. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address or speak on item 10A? Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to go close the public hearing, bring it back. Recommended action on this resolution. Is there a motion? Okay, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Torres. I'll now proceed with roll call vote. Councilmember Warren? Councilmember Barrios? Councilmember Taylor? Mayor Pro Tem Torres? And Mayor Schaver? Thank you, sir. Item passes 4-1.
We have no unfinished business. New business, item 12A. This is the third amendment to the city manager's employment agreement and resolution regarding the amendment to salary rates. Who has that?
Have that. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 12A is a proposed third amendment to the city manager's employment agreement and a proposed amendment to the salary schedule. The City Council recently concluded a performance evaluation of the city manager, Ms. Hannah Shin-Haydorn, and the evaluation results very positive. As a result, the City Council directed the City Attorney's Office to draft amendment to the city manager's agreement, providing the manager with a 3.5 cost of living increase. This is the same increase recently provided to full-time employees in the recent budget cycle. That would set the annual salary for the city manager's contract at $285,136. There are three actions provided tonight are to declare this item exempt from CEQA, direct the mayor to be able to sign the third amendment to the city manager employment agreement, and also adopt the resolution 2529 amending the city's salary schedule. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
A question? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on item 12A? Okay, great. We'll bring it back. I will move it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a motion by Mayor Schaver, a second by Councilmember Warren. I will now proceed with roll call vote. Councilmember Warren? Councilmember Barrios? Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Torres? Mayor Schaver?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Item passes 5-0.
Item 13, oral communication. At this time, the public may address the City Council, successor agency, the Stanton Housing Authority regarding any items within our subject matter jurisdiction, provided that no action may be taken on non-agenda items. When you come up, would you please just give us your name, and you will have, I believe, 3 minutes. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will begin with Daisy Marquez, please.
Ms. Marquez, I'm so sorry. Come in one moment. I just want to make sure we get your voice recorded here. Can you test that for me one more time, please?
A gate for her, so she's yeah.
Test, test.
Good evening, council members and everyone present. I am Daisy Marquez. I have resided in Stanton for 18 years, and I am here tonight to express the concerns of our community. Unfortunately, many people in our city are currently feeling isolated and unsafe, particularly within our immigrant community, due to the escalating immigration rates and intimidation tactics being used by unidentified individuals in our neighborhoods. On June 13, a few ICE activities were reported on Fern Street, Piles Elementary School, and a few other locations. On June 16, ICE activity was reported at Home Depot on Beach. On June 30th, ICE activity was reported on Chapman Avenue. These are just a few of the dates that ICE has been in our community. We don't even know if it's ICE because we cannot identify these individuals. Almost a month has passed since these raids began, and yet the city of Stanton has not issued any statement or response. This is not just an abstract issue. These are real events affecting real families in our city. These are serious matters that require the attention and action of our leadership. I am deeply concerned as we are seeing unmarked vehicles and masked men detaining and intimidating members of our community. We do not know who these men are. This is kidnapping. It is deeply troubling to witness this kind of activity in our neighborhoods, and there has not been a clear, strong response from our leadership. Neighboring cities like Anaheim and Santa Ana have stepped up and launched initiatives which include resources designed to support immigrant communities impacted by the immigration raids. However, here in Stanton, I have yet to see similar efforts or any public statements from our city government addressing the ongoing immigration concerns that are affecting our families and neighbors. So I have a few questions. Why has there been no public statement from the City of Santa Ana or Stanton addressing the immigration rates and intimidation tactics? Are there plans for Stanton to implement immigration support initiatives like those in the neighboring cities like Anaheim and Santa Ana? If not, why not? What steps is the City of Stanton willing to take to ensure that all residents, regardless of their immigration status, feel safe, protected, and supported? I ask that the city consider launching initiatives like those of neighboring cities, such as creating an immigrant support fund, releasing a public statement denouncing rates and intimidation, or even creating a safe space for those affected. We cannot allow fear to divide our community. Stanton must become a place where all residents, regardless of their background, can feel safe and secure. As Desmond Tutu once said, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. Thank you for your time.
Christine? Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Brennan.
Good evening, Mayor and council members and staff. My name is Amy McBride. I live at the Renaissance Plaza, and I'm here tonight representing our neighborhood watch group and concerned residents in the area. We're asking for help in addressing the recent crime on Court Street and Plaza, especially with the shootings involving, unfortunately, teens. We appreciate the city's quick action in placing the 24-hour camera, but we do know that's just one small step. We are asking for more lasting solutions, a stronger, more visible law enforcement presence, a review of how dispatch calls from our area are being handled, and long-term safety improvements like better lighting or traffic measures to make the area less of a hot spot. We'd also love to see more programs for youth because kids are involved in violence. It means we're missing chances to reach them earlier. Our neighborhood is ready to be part of the solution, and we're not here just to report problems. We want to work with the city to make our street safer. So thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
Is there anyone else that would like to address at this time?
We have Miss Nikki Jackson, Mr. Mayor.
Hi, good evening. You could probably hear me pretty well. My name is Nikki Jackson. I am a resident of Stanton for the past 43 years. I as well would like to address concerns regarding what is happening not only on Court Street. My parents' backyard actually bumps up to Court Street where the shots were heard. God forbid a stray bullet would have come into my parents' home. Trafficking is a concern that is happening on Janeway. I have been in contact with Hannah, Dave. A lot of you are on an email thread that I am currently in contact with all of you on. I guess what I'm asking you is what is the plan going forward for what is happening in our neighborhood? We have gambling homes. The homelessness that is on Beach Boulevard is currently now on Janeway all night long. And I guess what we're here, you've seen my face a couple of times now, not only in person, but through email. You've heard my voice. I'm here as an advocate for the homeowners who pay the property taxes to the city of Stanton, who are begging and pleading for help. I've inquired about meeting with the police chief. We feel very left out. We feel neglected. We had plenty of police presence for quite some time. Now it is nothing. And Mr. Dave, with all due respect, you tell us to continue to call and call and call. We call and we call and we call. So I am here to ask you, what is the plan going forward with the homelessness, I'm going to say it, the prostitutes, the drugs that are now passing by my parents' home on a daily basis, where my daughter plays outside and we get to look at the drug transactions, we get to look at the prostitutes walking by half naked, standing in front of my parents' home, waiting to be picked up from either a gentleman or an Uber driver. It could be either or. I'm here to ask, how is this going to be fixed in the city of Stanton? And what are you going to do going forward to address the situation? How long do homeowners have to live in this kind of situation? Is it going to take for somebody else to be murdered, like just happened on Court Street? Or what is the next step? Because we're begging and we're pleading and we're asking over and over, and we feel like nothing is being done. So I know I only have 3 minutes, but that was my question for all of you is what is the next step? Because my last email thread was, I will set up a meeting with with the police chief in late July, August, and I haven't heard back. So I'm just curious, what are the next steps to help, fix this problem that's been going on now for almost a year? Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the council at this time? Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. For now, item 14, we have no written communications. Mayor, Chair, initiated business, council. 15A, announcements. 15B, council agency initiated items for future meeting. John?
Thank you, Mayor. With the recent replacing of our street signs, I wanted to take the opportunity to look at what our options are available for being able to use those signs as a fundraiser, as I've seen occur with other cities. This would provide us an opportunity to be able to give money to charities within the city, and I'd be happy to have a discussion about this in the future.
What else? Okay, item 15C, this is a future study session. Okay, 16, attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing from me.
OCFA, please. Chief, you're up.
Honorable Mayor, council members, and city staff, it's my pleasure to provide the following OCFA operational report for June 2025. The OCFA responds to a total of 378 incidents within the city in the month of June. A total of 6 fires, 259 medical aids, 14 traffic accidents, and 9 other calls for a total of 378. The OCFA responds to a total of 5 incidents within the unincorporated Orange County, serviced by Engine and Medic 46. Those were 5 medical aids. We did have one significant event in June. It was a working structure fire on Saturday, June 14, 2025, at approximately 21:49 hours. ECC dispatched a structure fire after reports of heavy smoke and fire coming from a garage. Our Engine 46 arrived on scene with moderate smoke from the garage and established Thunderbird IC. They deployed hose lines and aggressively made a fire attack, and it held the fire to the garage. And we were able to get a primary and secondary all clear of the structure itself. And I'm pleased to announce no residents or firefighters were injured in the process. Assisting agencies were, as usual, the Orange County Sheriff's Department, Edison, and SoCal Gas. Sam, we did have a couple of community public education events we took place on June 19th. Engine 46 hosted a ride-along with some local residents, as well as on June 23rd, we hosted a ride-along with some nursing students from a local college. Our June safety message was household disaster plans, disaster supply kit list, and then, of course, the water safety, which we are thankful for you guys making that a proclamation earlier in the month. We do have plans on August 8th, I believe, for myself, Engine 46, and educational specialists to be there with a booth and attend the Stanton Night Out, or Stanton National Night Out. This concludes my Orange County Fire Authority Operations Report for June 2025, and I'm available for any questions.
But I know that that 46 was there in 3 minutes. That was great response on that. We had no civilians that were seriously injured. None of our firefighters were injured, and another great job done by the OCFA. So if you please thank them on behalf of my council members and staff for a job well done.
Thank you, I will, and I'm also pleased. I was going to include it in the next report, but as of July 1st, Engine 46 did become a full paramedic engine, which will dramatically help both units stay in service in the city and provide better ALS care. So we appreciate the support on that as well.
Okay, thank you. And we did have recently Xenia and her crew put on a State of the City event. Xenia, if you would let everyone know on behalf of myself and the council what an awesome event it was. I'm still getting people emailing me asking me how we did it because you were very innovative. You were able to get the community to interact with each of us. You also had a chance for them to have a good time, win prizes, and walk away with a lot of knowledge of what we're doing here in Stanton. So kudos to everyone. Please thank them. I know that the group up here were extremely happy as we did. So please pass that on. Okay. Is there any other business before the city council? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn at this time.